Did you know that a strong onboarding process can improve new hire retention by 82% and productivity by over 70%? Well, if you want to set up your new employees up for success from day one, you better stick around as I share the best practices for effective employee onboarding. First things you want to do is start before day one. That is right. Yes, engaging employees before their official start date helps them feel welcomed and prepared. So some of the tips that I'll give you are send a welcome email, and this contains essential information about their first day. It could be their office location, address, manager's name. It could be benefit related. It could be when their first paycheck will be, the pay periods. It could be new hire orientation information, reminders to fill out the new hire paperwork. I-9 forms are very important, and other tax related documents. So it could really just be anything that you want to make sure that this person understands what is expected of them or what to expect on their first day. You also want to provide access to an online portal with company resources, maybe an intranet or what we now call more of the internal community. Policies, definitely want to share any sort of policies, especially around like PTO. That's very important for people. Also, when they will be eligible to participate in the benefits, whether if it's a waiting period or is it right away, and also just a pre-start checklist. So just give them information about maybe their team, the company, the CEO. You can send them a video of the CEO welcoming them to the company. Just really anything that this person can feel welcomed and they can feel prepared for their day one. There's nothing worse than a new hire walking into the office or logging in on their day one and there's nothing going on or there's nothing prepared for them. There's nothing that they are expected to do. They're just kind of sitting around waiting and there's no sort of structure. So that's the last thing that you want to do for your employees. You want to make sure that everyone is on the same page between the managers, maybe the HR team, and then also the new hire. So you definitely want to create a structured, number two, create a structured onboarding plan. So you definitely can operate in disorganization or dysfunction. No one can operate that way. And especially new hires. You don't want to operate in that way with them because then you're going to lose them. Your new hires experience is very, very important from day one all the way through even up to their first 90 days while they're getting acclimated into the company. So you want to set up a structured onboarding plan. Why do you want to do this? Because you are going to make sure that you're providing all necessary topics for them. And this is all covered systematically. A few tips around that. Outline a detailed schedule for the first week, their month, and beyond. So what's going to happen on day one? Is there going to be a team lunch or lunch between the supervisor and the new hire, orientation, any trainings, anything that happens within the first week, the first month, and beyond that. So remember to keep it really in mind to have a structure. Of course, different positions will vary, different things, different trainings, or sort of different orientations. So you always got to keep in mind that what's going to work for this particular position may not work for the next, but you still want to have some sort of structure within the company. You also want to include any key milestones, your training sessions that are required, like sexual harassment is usually required for employees, or just anything, maybe IT related, anything. And then also schedule check-ins with the manager and the team members. This could be with the direct supervisor, it could be with maybe the department overhead, or even someone from the executive team, and allow them to meet with the rest of their team so that way they can get to know each other. Way to build rapport. It's a great way for them to also feel welcomed, and it's a great way for them to know that you've got their back and they're not in it by themselves. And remember, we were all once new hires and we know what it feels like when you are a new hire. So you want to make sure that make your new hire feel welcomed. That's the last thing you want to do, is that your new hire feels like they are at a place that they made the wrong decision. Number three, you want to include company culture and values. Very important to help new hires familiarize themselves with your company's culture and values, which helps them to integrate smoothly. Now, they could have read your company company's mission, vision, and values on your company's website, but that's still not enough. You want to make sure that you are constantly speaking it, saying it, posting it everywhere. You want to make sure that it's something that is constantly embedded in their brains, because that's what you want your employees to live, breathe, eat while they're at work, is the company's cultures and values and mission and vision. So when you're hosting and make sure that during that orientation, whoever is facilitating is covering the company's mission, vision, and values. This could be normally someone from an HR department, the training and development team, or an HR manager, whatnot. This person is typically the one is going to cover that. But regardless, you as a hiring manager, as their new manager, as their leader, you want to make sure that you cover that as well during your conversation with them. You also want to arrange a meet and greet session with key team members and leadership. Remember, it's all about making them feel comfortable, making them feel welcome. The last thing you want is that your employee feels like they don't know who is who in the office. So you want to make sure that your employees, your new hires especially, they can put a face to the name, a name to the face. The next thing you want to do is provide comprehensive training. Now, effective training equips new hires with the knowledge and the skills that they need to succeed in their roles. So you want to definitely develop a mix of training methods. This could be the hands-on, the visual. There are different learning styles, so you want to keep different people in mind on how different people work. Some people like to do things on their own, and some people need guidance. Some people need hands-on. Some people can just watch it. They're visual. Some people just can hear it. So you got to keep in mind when you are training or developing the training that you are developing training methods that can align and be helpful to different people. Remember to include any e-learning modules, the hands-on trainings, shadowing experienced employees. These are all great ways to make sure that you're incorporating and embedding that training. And I mean, that's what people want. We all want to go to work with a company who is investing in us, in our careers, in our growth. So you want to make sure that that's exactly what you're doing. Now, you also want to tailor training programs to different roles and departments. Every role, every department is going to be different. What works for marketing may not work in accounting, may not work in IT, may not work in the front lines. So you always got to keep in mind that every role needs its own training program tailored to it. So it's not a one size fits all. Yes, we are under the company's umbrella, but at the end of the day, job is different. Everyone performs different jobs. Everyone's goals are different within the company. So you always got to keep that in mind, that what works for one team, one department is not going to work for the other. You also want to assign a mentor or a buddy. Having a mentor or a buddy helps the new employee feel supported, and then it provides them as well with a go-to person for questions. Now, this person is going to be accessible to the new hire, to the new employee. This person also is going to need to understand what is going to be expected of them. You can't just assign any old body to this new hire, because then that person, that mentor, may not understand what they're supposed to do, that buddy. So they also have to go through some sort of training, or there's got to be a meeting with them that they understand what is expected and what they need to do in order to help incorporate this new hire into the team, into the company. And you want to make sure as well that those mentors or the buddies are regularly checking in with them and offering assistance as needed, because when you're new to a company, you don't really know much of anything. And sometimes we're also shy into speaking up and saying, hey, I need help. I have a question. We don't want to seem too incompetent. We want to make sure that, our supervisors can see us in a bright light. But reality is, when you're new to a company, you're going through a growth curve, a training curve, and we all go through that. So you got to always remember that. Right? You also have to set clear goals and expectations. So finding clear goals and expectations helps your new hire understand the responsibilities and performance standards. So you want to discuss those short-term and long-term goals during the initial weeks. Very important. What is your day-to-day going to look like? What are some goals you got to hit? Some numbers. etc. And then you want to also, between the first 90 days, their first 3 months, that's when you want to outline the key objectives and the performance metrics, because their first 3 months are going to be very critical, very key. And that's where both you and the new hire will determine if this is still a good fit for each other, because they may not be a good fit for the role, for the company, or maybe they see that this is not what they expected, and then they also can decide to leave, go somewhere else. You also want to foster open communication, encourage open communication, because it creates a supportive environment where your new hires feel comfortable asking questions and seeking feedback. Nothing feels worse than when you feel like you can't even speak up or ask your manager a question or your colleagues a question. You feel like you're being a burden, bothersome. That's the last thing that we want to feel, and especially as new hires, because it could really put a bad taste in the new hire's mouth. So remember, just encourage the open communication. Schedule those regular one-on-one meetings with them to discuss any progress, how they've been doing, ask them how they're feeling, ask them for feedback, ask them about any challenges, or maybe any challenges that you've seen that they have. So you want to use this time to be able to openly speak without judging, without criticizing, and if anything, constructive feedback. How can you improve? How can you do better? And also, if they share with you feedback about how they're feeling and it's maybe not going or not what you thought it would be, then I would also say be open to that as well. We can't only say new hires have to be open to the feedback if we're not also doing that ourselves. Create a feedback loop where new hires can share their onboarding experience and suggest improvements. Maybe have a check-in with them or send a survey after their 2 weeks, after their month, 30, 60, 90 days, and just to say, hey, just tell us how you feel. How really do you feel? How was your process, the experience? It could be maybe a phone call by someone in HR or even through their mentor, whomever it may be, but always say, get feedback from your new hire. And when you get that feedback, be receptive to it. So if they do give you feedback to say, yeah, I think you guys could do better at this as a company or as a team or whatnot, be receptive as well, because we're all here to improve, to grow. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that we are seen as a top place to work for the talent that is out there that we're trying to recruit. So if people find out that you all are a company, that you are open, that you're receptive to feedback, to constructive feedback, and you're open to these uncomfortable conversations, and trust, people are going to want to come work with you because they feel that you guys are honest and you guys are real, and you guys are not in it just for yourselves. You're actually in it for your employees as well, which is what people want nowadays. People want to feel included. They want to feel involved. They want to feel like they're part of something. We spend 8+ hours at work, and the last thing we want to do is to feel like we just don't belong here. So to recap, the effective employee onboarding involves starting before day one. Remember, creating a structured plan, introducing company culture and values, providing comprehensive training, assigning a mentor, setting clear goals, fostering open communication, and continuously improving based on feedback. Implementing these best practices will ensure that your new hires feel welcomed, prepared, and set up for success. I hope that you found these tips helpful. If so, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe to HR and Career Talks for more HR tips and career advice, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. And also, I'd love to hear from you as well. Tell me in the comments about any onboarding strategies that have worked best in your organization. Share your experience as well as a new hire, whether the good or the bad experiences, because this is where we can all learn and help each other out. So check out our next video where we'll discuss building a positive workplace culture. You won't want to miss it.